Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Peanut Butter Promise Power Encouragement Podcast. My name is Steve.
I'm Charlene.
And I'm Dayton.
Yes, and today we're going to be talking about the 7 laws of the Peanut Butter Promise, and we'll get into them. The first one is the law of cause and effect. It's kind of Jesus called it the law of sowing and reaping. Does that one sound familiar at all?
That does sound familiar.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me just tell you this story. Across the road here, the Rons, they have a cornfield over there, but before they put seed in there, they put some fertilizer on there. Whoa, the old derriere. So I guess part of the point is you can't have corn without a little bit of, putting whatever on
right.
it. You get the idea there.
Got the point.
What is the Peanut Butter Promise? We'll get back to this stinky subject in a bit. What's the Peanut Butter Promise? The Peanut Butter Promise, friend, says that you have been born totally equipped with every talent, ability, and gift to fulfill a meaningful and unique purpose. Right. Some of you are out there, you're living inside your purpose. Some of you don't know what your purpose is. You have been drawn by law of attraction. We're going to talk about that to this place here, okay? And we were talking about this law of cause and effect, which basically says for every effect, there is a law.
Right.
And we like to use the agricultural analogy of it about planting a seed and then getting a harvest. And for our discussion today, we can talk about the fact that thoughts are causes, results are effect. Your life, Dayton, could very well be a sum total of the law of cause and effect.
Well, it has to be, right?
Yeah.
I know that my stomach is the law of cause and effect. I eat too much pizza and drink a beer once in a while, and suddenly I got a stomach. So there's the cause and effect for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is just as much of a mental law as it is a physical law. Right. And Charlene, you always remind me they'll know me by my fruit.
Yes, they will.
I can say I'm an apple tree,
yep.
But if I'm spitting out just seeds,
yep.
Well,
the thing is that if you're an apple tree, but you tell me you're an apple tree, okay? Later on, you're throwing out peaches. Well, guess what? You ain't an apple tree.
Exactly. And Jesus of Nazareth, remember him from Sunday school?
Yes.
Did you go to Sunday school?
Yes, my
church?
Lord. You
Yeah,
bet.
he called it the law of sowing and reaping, and boy, you shall reap what you sow. The second one is the law of accumulation, and you hit on this one. The pizza, the Pepsi, the whatever it is, the Culver's concrete mixer, whatever it is, and we love Culver's, by the way. We love our friend Craig Culver out there, too. But the law of accumulation says things can add up.
Yes,
and things have added up around my waist from time to time. Basically, I think what this law is saying is that everything matters. Pay attention to everything. Sure. We talked about the principle of integrity, how you get that drip. It takes so long to build integrity with people. It takes so long with that drip underneath the faucet to drip. But then you come down in the morning and you got a full bucket. And the law of accumulation says constantly be aware that everything's adding up. Right. Charlene, you've had a bank account.
Yes.
If you only put $1 a year in that bank account, it's not going to add up very fast.
I can't buy a house.
No, you can't. So how would you use the law of accumulation then to build that bank account probably?
I'd put maybe $1 a day in.
There you go.
There you go.
All right.
$1 a day would do me the trick. I have that penny jar upstairs.
There you go.
But I stopped putting just pennies in there because I thought if I start putting dimes, nickels, and quarters in there, we may be able to go on a trip.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
But, we've been doing some joking here, but the law of accumulation, have I made the point?
Well, here's the thing about a law is it's going to happen whether you want it to or not, whether you try to or not. If you buy a 4-bedroom home and move in from a 2-bedroom apartment, suddenly you've got more stuff that you've accumulated. You don't even realize it until you're moving out of that house again. You're like, where did all this come from? It's a law. You are going to accumulate as you go through life.
Absolutely.
And is it going to be something good or is it going to be something bad?
Right.
You have that choice.
Right. And, I do a lot of baking and cooking and stuff like that. And I can determine how much I want to make of something. I can make a half a pan of lasagna. Or I can make a full one. It depends on how many ingredients I want to put, how much of the ingredients I want to put in there. So, if I only put half the ingredients in, I get half the recipe. But if I put all the ingredients in, I get the full recipe.
Yeah, you're going to get more.
You bet.
I love that analogy you just said about
Yes.
things adding up. How
You bet.
many of us, have too many shirts, have too many, things laying? They definitely pile up. Good point there. And so was yours about the recipe analogy there. Third is the law of belief, which says that what we believe is going to have a lot to do with what we do. What we do is going to have a lot to do with what happens in our life. Law of belief says so many of the things that we believe affect our lives in many, many ways. Let me go first with this one. I mean, if I sat and watched soap operas all day, if I sat and read things that were not edifying to me, chances are what came out, I'm going to have some pretty wild beliefs, and my results, my actions are not going to be quite up to par. So I guess it's very, very important for us to edify ourselves with positive reading. And I believe that you've talked about the fact that it's very important to read, so to help your beliefs.
Well, if you're going to act the way you believe, meaning if I believe that most people are good, and I'm going to be able to relate to those people, and I'm going to be able to talk to those people, then I will do it. If I believe most people are evil and I don't want to talk to them because I'm afraid of them,
You make a good point.
I'm not going to talk to them.
Right.
So that just one example of a belief that could either hinder or further your life.
And I just had an encounter with somebody, and if they believe that people can't change,
Yeah.
I mean, because we all have those people in our lives that have done things that you kind of went, whoa, where are they coming from? Or why would they ever do that? Or why would that have happened? And then you see them years later, and they're not the same. They've changed, but in your heart, you're still remembering the things that you thought about them before, and you're thinking they're still the same person. You're not giving them the chance to show you that they're better and different.
Yeah.
And so what you believe is what you perceive. You will perceive that person to be the same person they were 21 years ago as to today, except for the gray hair. So it's very important, that we put into ourselves things that will help us to have a better outlook on things.
Yeah.
And our beliefs are who we are.
The late Dr. Joyce Brothers said that it's virtually impossible for us to act outside of what we believe. And you think about it, that makes sense. I mean, we get it up here and then we do it. Next one is the law of expectation, which says in many ways, life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Let me go first. When I was a little boy, I was, talking and speaking. I was going to be a speaker. I wanted to be on the radio, so I played my records and did this, and I expected to be in radio. I expected to become a speaker. Now, we have to definitely, go through the work or whatever. And I think where this needs some attention, Dayton and Charlene, is the power of our thoughts and what we expect to happen, and between, what happens and what doesn't happen.
Right. You definitely have to be able to expect you can do something in order to do it. If I expected to be on the radio, I expected that I would go to school, I would learn a trade, I would go into that field, I would become somebody on the radio. I did the same thing. But my expectations were set in a path. I had the right expectations for the right moment in life.
Right.
I knew what the next step was, and then I expected it. The end goal, the X on the map, was I expected to be on the radio, and I did that.
Right.
But I didn't expect to be on the radio tomorrow just because I said I was.
Right,
So expectation also has steps that come along with it.
Exactly. I remember that when I became a bus driver. I had to go to the driver's education thing, and I had to take all the tests. And I remember taking one test, and I just went, oh God, I don't even know what an SCAM is. So I'm just going to go in there and take this test. If you want me to be a bus driver, I left it on God's shoulders. If you want me to be a bus driver, you're going to have to help me pass this test. But I expected to be a bus driver. And that's why I was taking the test. Well, that wasn't the only test I had to take. I aced it. I got an A on it. I have no idea till this day what an SCAM is. I know it has something to do with the air brakes. That's it. But I passed that test and I got an A. Okay, so then I had to go to the driver's test. Then the man had to show me how to drive a bus. He put me in the driver's seat and said, okay, now do what you just learned on paper. I'm like, Okay, and when you're doing it, I expected to be a bus driver taking kids back and forth to school. That was my end goal. I was going to be a bus driver. Well, I had to take a bus and I had to back it up around a corner without going over the curb. I remember the first time I did it, I went right over the curb. And he said, now go back and do it again. And I looked at him and I said, you just saw what I did. He goes, go back and do it again. I went back, I did it a second time, but I went right around. He said, it happens to everybody. They go over that curb once. He said, and then you're so in tune with what you've got to do that you do it the right way. Yeah. So, the expectation I did, I became a bus driver. I passed the test.
Good conversation on that one. Next one is the law of attraction, which basically says we are spiritual magnets, that we attract into our lives what's right about us, but we also attract into our lives what's wrong about ourselves, too. And let me just say that, pre-April 15th, 1991, and you can go to our website at peanutbutterpromise.com, click on About, it'll tell you a little more there. But my point is, I attracted a different crowd into my life because I was part of that crowd. That's the way that I thought. I changed my thinking, I changed my behavior, and it's incredible how we attract a different crowd into our lives. And I'm glad that I attracted Dayton Kane into my life some 10 years ago. I'm glad that I attracted you into my life some 8 years ago, Charlene. So let's elaborate on this a little bit. What comes to mind here when we talk about the law of attraction?
Well, I'll tell you what. I actually, in the summer, when we're outside and we're drinking lemonade, it has sugar in it. And when you set your lemonade down and it's summertime, the flies and the bees like the sugar. It attracts what you don't want. It attracts what you don't want. As for a magnet sticks to metal. But if I try to put it on plastic, it's not going to work. Okay? So it has to have metal to stick to it. So it attracts to one thing. And it's what it's needed. What it needs is metal to stay where it needs to stay. If you try to put it next to another magnet, it'll detract. So everything's attracted in one way or another. I can gather you a bunch of bees outside. All I got to do is put a bowl of sugar out there with a little bit of syrup, and we're going to have bees. I
think what you said too, spiritual attraction. My wife and I, Tracy and I, are completely opposite people. But we attracted to each other. We've been married 26 years now because there was something in her that I needed. There was something in me that she needed, and together we work perfectly. It's like that magnet. We're the opposite, so we're attracting.
Right.
So just because it's a law of attraction doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the exact same person. If there were two of me in this relationship, it would never work. I can tell you that
you
right
detract.
now. We'd be like that.
Like two magnets.
So you attract the right thing.
Right.
That is a good point, because somebody did say that as far as a husband and wife, you certainly do need to be different.
Definitely.
And so we do need to put that caveat in here as far as the law of attraction. But can we agree we arrive at the same church as many that think the same as we do? We arrive at the same support meetings that attract the same type of people. So I think we're making our point there. The next one is the law of practice. And I am constantly amazed when I turn on the TV on Sunday afternoons and I see a guy hitting a ball off of a tee, and when that thing comes down, it lands 354 yards right down the middle of and I say, that's the law of practice, Dayton.
You don't say, oh, that guy's a natural?
That's
what most people think. Oh, he just does it. Or if you see somebody that's really good at speaking and you go, it's just what they do.
Right.
No, they've practiced that.
Right.
They've written it.
Right.
They've spoken it.
Right.
They don't just get on stage and talk.
No.
They've practiced it over and over and over. I have a practice on my calendar every day at 2:00. It says, God, what do you want me to do today? Because I have to practice that. I have to remember to do that. And so every day I sit at 2:00 and say, okay, I'm practicing that. What do you need me to do today? It just doesn't come naturally all the time to me. So I had to practice that. So yes, definitely when we practice, we get better at what we do.
Yeah, I mean, we watch people. Charlene she just didn't start nailing those 3-pointers from way out, Dayton. She didn't. No. She started throwing those things mini, but you're a heck of a 3-point shooter. How'd you do that?
When I was a little girl, my brother Billy wanted somebody to go shoot hoops with him. He didn't want to do it by himself, so he asked me if I'd go along, and I said, of course, but I don't know how to do it. He said, I'll teach you. So he taught me how to shoot the ball into the basket when I was close up to it, and then he kept pulling me farther away and farther away. I was hitting the free throw, and he'd say, no, just do it again. No, I can't do it. It wouldn't go in. He goes, just throw it a little farther, keep throwing it. That's your point. You go there, you throw it. And I threw it, and I would do free throws, and I thought, oh, wow, I'm somebody, But then he pulled me back even farther and said, keep shooting. And keep shooting and keep shooting. And then he would say, let's go out and practice some more. Let's go out again. Will you come with me again? And I would practice with him. And sure enough, I got good at it. And he taught me how to shoot those 3-point shots.
Yeah, and you are good. Last one we're going to hit on briefly here because it's one that I made up. I called the law of impossible substitution. All I'm trying to say is, friend, you are an original, not a copy. Yes. There's only one Dayton Kane, trust me. There's only one Charlene Rose, trust me. And I know there's only one me. I know that. All we're trying to say is you're special. And we mean that in a really good way.
Very much so.
7.7 million people on this planet Earth, and there's only one you. So we just threw that cute one in there, the seventh law of impossible substitution. You've been watching the Peanut Butter Promise Power Encouragement podcast. You can go to our website at peanutbutterpromise.com. We also have some social media sites where you can go to.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, we're everywhere.
Yeah, we need friends. We need friends. We want friends. We're very needy people. So anyway, by all means, we thank you. And if you know somebody who needs some hope and encouragement, send them along. For Dayton and Charlene, I'm Steve. Make it a great Peanut Butter Promise Day.